It's really about the big end of the market today. In fact, having a look at the small ordinaries index, it's only up by 0.3%. That compares to the market, which is seeing a gain of 0.7%, and we're substantially outperforming what we saw in the US overnight. The standout sectors today are those commodity-based sectors. We saw oil prices trading above 76 US a barrel, and energy and materials, as well as the banking space, doing well today. But of course, we are watching those bond yields over in the US, and the 10-year yield spiked to 3.18%. We haven't seen those type of yields since 2011. And in fact, just casting our minds back to around about a year ago, where the yields were just at 2%. So it's been a massive rise, and of course that's had an impact on the market as well. Some of those bond proxies are coming under a fair bit of pressure today. We've seen Auckland airports down by 2.8%, Sydney airports and Transurban, both also bond proxies, down by 1.2%. And then on the flip side, those stocks that stand to gain from rising global interest rates, such as QBE Insurance and Computershare, doing well, with QBE up by 3.4% and Computershare gaining 1.6%. So some big moves as a cause of those US bond moves overnight. And I guess in terms of our market, some great stock performances as well. We've seen an all-time record high hit for South32 as well as Washington Soul Patts. Look, we've seen aluminium up by 5.5% overnight, and that's the highest price that we've seen since June this year. This is all because of the closure of the Norsk Hydro refinery over in Brazil. Now, to give you a bit of a context of how big this refinery is, this is the largest alumina refinery outside of China. Last year, we saw it making 6.4 million tonnes of alumina. That's around about 10% of global production outside of China, and that's enough to make about 3 million tonnes of aluminium. It has been operating at 50% capacity this year, and that's because of a dispute with Brazilian authorities. So it is subject to embargoes, especially on a newly created waste area called DRS2. And given that their DRS1, which is their waste area, is close to reaching capacity, they've had to halt production in terms of this area. So it's going to have a big impact in terms of the supply of aluminium globally. And as a consequence, we've seen South32 shares doing extremely well as alumina shares hitting a high as well. Bank of Queensland also seeing its net interest margin improving by 5 basis points, but the cash profit overall down by 2%. The shares though up by 3.8%, and I suspect a lot of it has to do with it pressing ahead with the sale of St Andrews to Freedom Insurance. We know because of the Royal Commission, life insurance has been in the spotlight. And at the beginning of the year, looking like a very smart move by Bank of Queensland to offload this life insurance unit for $65 million to Freedom Insurance. Of course, Freedom Insurance's market capitalization is only around about $22 million at the moment. So the market has written off a lot of the value of that St Andrews life insurance business. So it looks like it's pressing ahead. This sale, of course, is still subject to regulatory approvals. Bank of Queensland has factored it into plans, and I guess the market liking the sounds that it is continuing with the sale, given what's happened since the beginning of the year.